You were trained to be soft, to open your heart, to lead with vulnerability. They fed you a script dressed in sweetness and slogans. Be her protector. Be her provider. Be her peace. They told you women want a good man. A man who listens. A man who feels. A man who serves. And you believed them. But now, you're sitting in silence. Confused. Abandoned. Ignored. Watching the same woman who once clung to your presence now lose her mind over the man who doesn't even bother calling her back. And deep inside, you feel it, that itch of betrayal, that quiet whisper telling you, nothing they taught you works. Because it doesn't, not in the real world. Calvin Reed didn't write Women Magic Lore for men who still believe in the Disney version of desire. He wrote it for the men who've been burned, ghosted, played, drained, men who are done pretending, men who are ready to see the game for what it really is. There's a truth most men aren't allowed to say out loud. Women don't fall in love with goodness. They fall for gravity, for presence, for power, for command, not kindness, not compromise, not your feelings. The man she fantasizes about isn't the one who puts her on a pedestal. It's the one who stands on solid ground, unshaken, unmoved, a man who doesn't need her applause to feel whole. You were raised to chase, to prove your worth, to win her attention. But the moment you chase, you flip the polarity, you kill the tension, you silently announce, I am beneath you, and that's why I run after you. And Reed makes it brutally clear. Never chase, because the moment you do, you're no longer the prize. You're the puppy. And women don't sleep with puppies. They pet them, they praise them, and then they get bored. They move on to the wolf. The one who doesn't ask for affection. He commands it, by simply existing in his truth. That's the shift. Women aren't drawn to men who beg. They're drawn to men who build. You want her to need you? Then stop needing her. Build a life so magnetic. She wants to orbit around it. Not because you bought her flowers, but because you offered her silence, direction, purpose, unpredictability. You're still trying to win her with effort. But effort isn't the currency of attraction. Energy is. The energy of a man who doesn't flinch. The one who can walk away, calmly, without blinking. That's the man she can't forget. That's the true magic lure. Reed exposes the trap most men still fall into. Believing that love is an even exchange. It's not. Love is power. A psychological game. A subtle dance of control. Of who needs less. Of who withholds first. Of who controls the rhythm of intimacy. And here's the harsh part. Women don't need to study this. They just know. They were raised on it. Trained by mothers, friends, media. To never give too much. To never appear too eager. To let a man chase. To make him invest more. Why? Because the one who invests more becomes emotionally indebted. It's not evil. It's evolution. It's survival. And yet here you are. Texting first. Texting often. Opening up too soon. Laying your soul bare to a woman who's scanning your words for weak spots. She's not looking for your truth. She's looking for leverage. Not to hurt you, but to calculate. Can I shape this man? Can I guide him? Can I own his attention? And if she can, you're no longer a mystery. You're a mirror. And women don't crave mirrors. They crave mountains. Women Magic Lore teaches the truth that most men never hear. Being emotionally open too soon isn't vulnerability. It's exposure. It's self-betrayal disguised as depth. In the last part, we saw how emotional overexposure destroys polarity. Now let's go deeper into how your vulnerability, when unearned, becomes a weapon turned back on you. You think you're building intimacy. You think you're opening the door to closeness. But what you're actually doing is volunteering for psychological disarmament. Every secret you confess, every insecurity you reveal, every unhealed wound you expose, becomes a roadmap she didn't even ask for. And once she has it, the chase is over. Not because she's cruel, not because she's heartless, but because your mystery died in your desperation. Understand something fundamental. Women aren't drawn to chaos. They're drawn to masculine unpredictability. The calm man, the unreadable man, the one who moves with presence, who speaks little but stands strong. That is the man who stays in her mind. The one who shows less, but makes her feel more. The man who lingers in her thoughts. Not because he begged to be there, but because she can't figure him out. He's not asking, "Where did I go wrong?" She's asking, "Why can't I stop thinking about him?" You think connection comes through confession. That the more you share, the more she'll trust you. But here's the truth. Women don't trust words. They trust energy. They trust direction. They trust detachment. Calvin Reed says it clearly. Women follow energy, not explanations. And when your energy screams, "Please choose me," she doesn't feel admiration. She feels repulsion. Not because she's shallow, but because biology punishes need. Need smells like survival. It signals weakness. It says, "I need you to complete me. I need you to validate me. I need you to fix what I refuse to fix myself." That's not love. It's dependence, dressed up as romance. And women? They can sense the difference. Even if they can't explain it, they feel it in their bones. A man who worships a woman loses his shape because he hands over the one thing she craves most: emotional authority. And when you give her that, you become hers, but not the way you wanted. You don't become her lover. You become her project, her emotional workload, someone to manage, not admire. And here's the brutal irony. When she holds that power over you, she doesn't feel safe. She feels burdened, because no woman truly wants to be the man in the relationship. She might act like it. She might pretend she enjoys being in charge. But over time, she'll resent it. She'll test you. She'll push you, not to hurt you, but because deep down, she's begging you to show spine, to push back, to not fold. Calvin Reed says it without mercy. The moment a woman knows she can control you emotionally, you've already lost her sexually. Because desire doesn't live in comfort. It lives in polarity, in masculine frame, in emotional anchor, in direction, stillness, power. The man who doesn't react to her emotions, he grounds her through them. That's the secret they never teach. Not in school, not in love songs. You think love is emotional equality. But in attraction, equality doesn't rule. Instinct does. And instinct is primal. She's not strategizing. She's feeling. But her feelings follow patterns. She pulls away not to punish you, but to feel your gravity. She pushes boundaries, not because she wants to destroy them, but because she wants to know they exist. That you'll hold firm when tested. That you'll hold her without collapsing. You think she's punishing you. You're wrong. She's measuring you. Women don't fall for perfect men. They fall for immovable men. The man who doesn't flinch. The man who stands still, while her beauty tries to shake him. The man who says, "I want you, but I don't need you." That's masculine security. Not the fake kind. Not the loud, performative alpha, but the kind that radiates, "I am enough, with or without you." That's the line that separates the men who win from the men who chase. Because the man who doesn't need her, he chooses from abundance. And that, she can feel. In the last part, we uncovered the power of masculine emotional grounding. Now let's talk about what makes that power magnetic, and what most men still get completely wrong. Calvin Reed drives it in hard. Your abundance is your leverage. The more full your life is, with purpose, with direction, with options, the less she clings to what you say, and the more she's drawn to what you don't. It's your mystery that lingers. It's the calm you don't explain, the silence she can't decode, the life she can't control. And that's when she starts asking questions. Where does he go? Who does he talk to? Why isn't he obsessed with me? And in that space, you become the lure, not by playing games, but by doing something radical. You stopped making her the prize, and became the prize yourself. Most men reverse it. They meet a beautiful woman, and instantly surrender. They shift their schedule. cancel their priorities, water down their boundaries, and then they cry when she loses interest. But what did you expect? You handed over the keys to your kingdom before she ever proved she was worthy to enter. Women don't respect easy access. They respect standards. They respect gates. They respect boundaries that don't move at the first smile. Reed doesn't say be rude. He says be rare. Be rare in your silence. Be rare in your availability. Be rare in your need for emotional reassurance. Because when you become the man who doesn't need to speak to be felt, you become unforgettable. Women have seen compliments. They've seen attention. What they haven't seen is a man who sees through them, not just at them. That's the man who rattles her. That's the man who haunts her memory. That's the man who redefines what she even finds attractive. He's not following the rules of attraction. He is the rule. And this is exactly what they won't teach you. Not in therapy. Not in school. Not on your carefully curated social feed. Because it threatens the entire narrative. It shatters the soft illusion you were trained to protect. You are not failing because you're too emotional. You're failing because you gave up your edge. Calvin Reed calls it the erosion of masculine polarity. You were taught to seek harmony, when what actually creates attraction is friction, not chaos, but contrast. She is emotion. You are logic. She is the wave. You are the rock. And the moment you try to mirror her softness, you vanish into her frame. She becomes the masculine force by default. And no woman wants to sleep with her emotional twin. She doesn't want to hold you. She wants to feel held by you. And that doesn't come from crying on her shoulder. It comes from knowing who the hell you are without her. Reed rips the mask off when he says, women don't want your soul. They want your center. They want to feel your axis unshaken. Especially when they try to shake it. And they will. Not because they hate you, but because they need to verify you. Is your confidence real? Are your words rooted in something? Can your masculinity hold when hers goes chaotic? Every complaint, every silence, every emotional swing, it's a test, and you think you're being punished. So you respond with appeasement. But appeasement is the death of desire. She doesn't want a yes man. She wants a hell no man. A man who stands up and says, this is where I draw the line. Not with aggression, but with calm, unwavering presence. With power that doesn't need to raise its voice to be heard. And those are the men she remembers. Not because they were perfect, but because they were clear. This is the part most men refuse to accept. She doesn't want to lead. She'll pretend she does, because modern culture told her she should. But the moment you let her lead, she starts losing attraction. She doesn't want to drive the relationship. She wants to feel your direction, even when she fights it. Because deep down, beneath all the armor of independence and power, feminine energy doesn't crave control. It craves the strength that makes surrender feel safe. In the last part, we uncovered a brutal truth. She doesn't want to lead. She wants to surrender, but only to a man strong enough to hold the frame. And that brings us here. Feminine energy desires surrender, but it can't surrender to a man with no structure, no standard, no spine. A man who folds the moment she pouts. That's not a man she can trust. That's a man she'll walk away from. Not because she wanted to leave, but because he gave her no reason to stay. Calvin Reed says it surgically. If you give her the wheel, don't be shocked when she drives away. So what's the solution? What do you do with this truth? That hits more like a gut punch than guidance? You stop chasing approval. You stop leading with your wounds. You stop using affection as currency to buy acceptance. You stop searching in women for what you were never taught to find in yourself. And instead, you start becoming a man who doesn't need her to feel worthy. You build, you sharpen, you expand, you create a gravitational pull so strong, so anchored in mission and movement, that women don't just want to be around you. They want to belong to the world you've built. Not because you asked for it, but because you didn't. You didn't beg. You didn't prove. You didn't posture. You simply lived. And in doing so, you revealed a deeper truth. Your validation comes from vision, not relationships. From progress, not praise. From clarity, not compliments. This is the uncomfortable truth. Reed throws in your face. Most of your heartbreak didn't come from her leaving. It came from realizing you had nothing outside of her. Your entire identity was wrapped around being needed, being wanted, and the day she walked away, your self-worth walked out with her. But that's not her fault. That's yours, because you made her the sun and forgot to become the sky. And here's the brutal beauty in all this. Now you know, now you see, now you have a choice. A choice to stop performing, to stop apologizing, to stop handing your power to women in exchange for crumbs of affection that only pacify, but never fulfill. Here's the final truth. One most men never reach. Why? Because they're too busy blaming women. Too bitter, too broken, too blind. But women are not the problem. Your illusion of them is. The moment you stop needing her to complete you, you become complete. Not in some fluffy spiritual meme, but in real, fire-tested reality. When you reclaim your center. When you detach with presence. When you lead without explanation. When you say no without guilt. And yes without fear. You become dangerous. Not reckless. Not cruel. Just undeniably free. So here's your call, brother. Not to hate women. Not to manipulate them. But to stop being manipulated by your own romantic delusions. To stop bleeding your worth into their hands and wondering why you feel empty. Read Women Magic Lore. Not like a pickup manual, but like a war map. A blueprint for psychological sovereignty. And then live it. Walk like a man who doesn't chase. Speak like a man who doesn't fear silence. Love like a man who doesn't beg. That's when you become unforgettable. That's when the game ends. Because the man who doesn't need to be chosen is the man she can never forget. And that, brother, is how you win. Thanks for spending time here. If this resonated with you, give it a like, send it to a friend, and make sure you're subscribed. Your support means everything.